Hello. Hey, so welcome to our next guest, who is Sarah Davies, and I'm just reading a little bit off my paper, so don't mind my eyes flittering. Sarah Davies, hey, how are you?
Thank you.
So Sarah Davies is a business coach, and she specialises specifically in marketing and is going to help us a whole lot today with breaking through our roadblocks and just confidently trying to figure out our marketing for going forward, specifically during this time where everything's a bit crazy. So I'm so thankful to have you with us today, Sarah. I know you're a wealth of knowledge and I've loved listening to your videos. And so I just wanted you to introduce yourself a little bit and tell us a little bit more about yourself.
Sure. Yeah, so I work with business owners who want to really hone down into who their ideal client is. By the time they come to me, it's two sorts. They're either at the beginning of their business and they just want to get it right first time, or they have been going for a while, they've tried this and that, and there's a little bit of untangling to do, in the process. They might have a few marketing initiatives going. They don't really know what's working and what's not, and they're confused.
Yes,
Doing
confused.
a lot of work and not getting a lot of results.
Yeah.
So at the moment I am doing a lot of work with businesses who are, I guess, trying to pivot. With the COVID-19, the reaction from all of us is really it's fight, flight, or freeze. But then, at some point we need to move on from that. And I mean, even for myself, over this last week, it's kind of become the new normal, living the way that we do. But for our businesses, what you don't want to do is just turn your back on your business, for the next, while the lockdown is on, and then and then kind of rise up after however long and go, hey, I'm still here. So there's lots that people can be doing to help their businesses one way or another during this time.
So you definitely don't want to disappear off the face of the earth because we're in lockdown, and you think to yourself, well, I can't send stuff anyway, and I can't do this and I can't do that, so I'm just going to shut shop and watch Netflix for a month. And we don't want to do that, do
we? No.
So tell me, so fight, flight, or freeze. Give me an example of what those are and what we should be doing.
So with the fight, I think that we've all seen it a little bit of kind of pointing the finger, maybe a bit of aggression, and sometimes people just reacting rather than responding.
Yeah.
Not taking that time to kind of go, right, okay, this was not in my plan. What is the best step? Or I think the fright is just to the kind of head in the sand, not doing anything. Or the freeze is, it can just be kind of nearly ruminating, just kind of when they just don't know what to do, 100 ideas starting to go in this direction, going in that direction, kind of like a deer in the headlights, and not having a solid plan or approach to work with, which can be, it's a really anxious state to be in, and it kind of ends up affecting everything from your sleeping to just your way of being, and there is a lot of anxiety, and people are quite het up at the moment, totally understandably.
Yeah. So, I mean, people are freaking out and they don't really know where to go with their businesses at the moment. And, I watched your video on pivoting, and I love your idea for pivoting in staying in your business. So can you tell me, because, lots of businesses are pivoting and going off and doing whole new different things because they're like, oh, my business is gone and buried. And so, so they're looking for jobs and things. But what about for people who want to stay in their own business, but they do need to pivot right now? What are some ways they can do that?
So it can be about just working in a different way. If you're a person who does workshops where people come to you go to people's workplaces, that's something that you could do online. You could take it onto Zoom, or you can take things into the online space.
Yeah.
If it's something like say fitness people, personal trainers, there's a lot of personal trainers who have taken things online. I've even seen, I'm not sure if it's happening here, and I hope it is, but a party planning company that kind of turns up, and they at the kids' birthday party, and they're doing that via Zoom now, and I think that's brilliant. If that's what you do, and if it fits with what you do.
Yeah.
So it could be, I did see, there's a lady I know in business, and she just released a new range a couple of nights ago, and got 170 orders, and she's got it all over her website that she cannot send anything out until the lockdown is lifted, but it hasn't actually made a difference.
So do you think that some people, like you said, the fright had buried their heads in the sand, said, oh no, we can't send things out at the moment, what are we to do? And just said, okay, we're going into hibernation, or we're going underground. And then you just gave the example of the lady who was upfront and honest about it and told her online community. Well, is it an online community, or just told her community?
It is an online shop.
Yeah.
So she has communicated to them. She's launched the range. She's had fantastic 170 orders in an evening. Is absolutely fantastic. And if anybody is selling things, then they could even kind of they could have like make up a special basket or something, and have that, treat yourself once the lockdown's over.
Such a good idea.
This. And then, because I want something special to happen to me when the lockdown's over, and I think that other people are going to be the same.
Yeah. So that's a really good point as well about so she did sell she did make $170 orders, and she so she pivoted. She had to pivot by telling people that she can't send anything. She stayed in her own lane, in her own business. She was honest. So communication is a really big thing at the moment, isn't it?
Massive. And staying connected with your tribe, staying connected with your customers. So I think, especially at this point, people, because there's so much uncertainty, they're going to gravitate towards businesses that they know and like and trust. And if you haven't got to that point yet, it's a great time to build that up. But if you have got to that point and you suddenly disappear, then it's like, oh, where were you?
Breaking the trust a bit.
It's just it is an easy time to show up and solve a problem. So if you look at your database of customers, and that most of them are, say, mothers with preschoolers, you could have some kind of activity, something that you create on Canva for free, that you then send to them and say, hey, I'm just thinking about you, just a nice thing. And you could probably even put your branding on it. You could put your logo on it, actually, and then send that to them. And if you could think of an activity that somehow connects to your business, it might be a fun, just a fun thing, then that would be a great way. We're all looking for, things to do. We're all getting through. And so by looking at what is the problem you can solve right now, it may not be your product that can solve that problem, but it solves a problem for your customer, and they may then pass it, if it's that good, so they'll pass it on to a friend and go, oh, this is really cool. And
so it's still information that came from the one that they know, like, and trust, and so they'll trust you as a resource for other things as well.
Exactly.
So is that a really good point about not being scared about sharing other people's businesses? Like, you're going to miss something if you share other people's things at the moment. It's actually probably a really nice time to sort of give and just believe that your customers will see that it's come from you, and that you've got their best interests at heart in all areas.
Yeah, so one of the other thoughts I had was around real estates who are always, dominant in specific communities,
Mm.
and to just print off a local map, and maybe have a kids treasure hunt. Go to the bottom of Amy Street, find the house with the grey door or something like that, and maybe they take a photo, and they do their 12, go around on their daily walk, do their, find their 12 things and post it onto the Facebook page or something. But it would be, I would do that with my kids. It's something, it kind of gives meaning to going for a walk.
Totally, especially with kids.
Yeah. Or even for, say, a personal trainer, if they do a community boot camp, you could do the same kind of thing. And, say when you get to the bottom of, Fox Street, do 10 squats, and then go on to such and such and they time themselves from the beginning to the end, and you just have it on, the map, so people can follow it, and then, maybe they will log their times, whoever does it the most gets a free personal training session. And you could even do that. You could send that out on not just to your people, but the local Facebook page, and perhaps get more people knowing about what you do.
That's a really clever way to diversify as well, isn't it? Because generally in community pages, you can't just go, hey, come and follow my business. But at the moment, when everybody's looking for something fun to do, you can say, hey, come on our treasure hunt with us, or come on our walk with us, virtual walk or whatever. And so that can actually be bringing new customers to your own business.
Yes.
Because you've shared a resource and something that's fun.
Yeah. And especially if you've got, a whole load of people who can't attend their own gym at the moment, and you do it, or maybe they go to gym in town because that's where they work, but they live in this a certain suburb, and then they can do that in their suburb. So it could work really, really well. And I think also people, they want to stay connected to community. I mean, I think our Facebook community page, I've never seen it so busy, because we're not used to this. We don't even necessarily reach out that much, but suddenly when you can't, everyone wants to talk to each other.
Exactly, I know. And also, I guess, because there's quite a lot, there's lots of positivity, but there's quite a lot of negativity as well. So being the bearer of good news rather than, this horror, adding to all of the dreariness of what's going on, you could stand out as somebody who's bringing a lot of positivity right now, by just keeping it really upbeat in your group, trying not to indulge in too much of the, what's actually really going on.
With the real estate person, they could do a different one every week. They could do, check in each week for it. And all you've got to do is get a map and, write something on it, or have a photo of a red door and put it, so they, or go and find it, or something like that. Obviously, you don't want to leave anything that people then have to pick up, but, it's there. Anybody could do it. We've all got our phones with us. So the thing is to look at is, who is your ideal client? Who are the people that you want to be building a relationship with, and just know them really, really well, and what is their problem right now that you can help to solve.
And if you don't solve it right at this particular point in time, you are the first person that comes to the forefront of their mind when they're out of lockdown and they can get that problem solved, right?
Yeah, but also, what is, like, for the real estate guy, the problem right now is that people are trying to entertain their kids.
Yes, so, true.
That's the problem you're solving.
So you are actually able to solve a problem right this very minute. That's so good. I love that.
It's diverting from what your core is, but you're still building up your no trust.
Yeah.
Being the person that has offered something that's really cool, and that kind of stuff spreads like wildfire. I mean, look at the teddy bear hunt thing. That's everywhere.
Amazing, eh?
Yeah, I love it. I think I'm more excited than the children.
I know. I actually do think the adults have taken it up a little bit more than the kids. But I also have to say, I've noticed another really awesome one. I think it's doing a bit better in Australia than New Zealand, but it's dressing up to go and take your rubbish bin out. So taking a photo of yourself in your most outrageous outfit to go and put the rubbish bin out, and oh my gosh, that thing's gone to town as well. I mean, there's just so many, I mean, people just want to be entertained right now, don't they?
Yeah.
So it's a perfect opportunity to connect. Okay, so let's just talk about, or quickly before we go on to some more examples of actual things that we can use. What about, so we've said, talking about reaching out to your tribe, in what ways can we, you know, obviously we want to connect and give them fun ideas and all that sort of thing, but in what ways can we reach out to our actual tribe that we already have now?
I think it's really good to send everybody an email, a really personal email that says, hi, I just wanted to jump in your inbox and see how you're doing. I know this is a tough time for everybody. You know, how are you? And that's actually all it needs to say. And you'll get people who come back and say, yeah, thank you so much for thinking of me. And not being one of those update emails, you know, that everyone's like, oh, I got another one of them. It's a really nice thing to do. Like, I'm part of a volunteer community in my suburb, and I ring 20 elderly people a day and just say, do you need anything?
I love that.
And they are so grateful to have a 2-minute phone call for somebody to care. So I think that's a really, you know, it's a really good thing to do. And then if there's any way that your product that they have already bought can be used during this time, then, you know, suggestions around that, or a little video or something like that. Or the other thing is, if they have a community, to bring that community together. Like with my clients, I've started doing co-working Tuesday. So with my clients, I work one-to-one, but we have a private Facebook group that, you know, for goals and accountability, and they've actually become quite close in there. So even though it's all virtual, so now we do a co-working Tuesday where they can come and they do have a little bit of a chat, you know, like this on Zoom, and get some actual work done. But it's just a nice way to connect. So something like that. I've also seen people getting guest speakers in to, you know, and having the Zoom so everybody can come off the mic and have a chat, or even doing drinks on a Friday night. So there are lots of ways that you can, you know, it depends on who your clients are, and if they have any connection already, if that would, you know, if that would work. But I think bringing people together, because often if you have a group that is around a passion, people love, I mean, can you imagine if a whole lot of gardeners got together on a Zoom, you know, talk? They would love it. They would absolutely love it. So
I think I've actually heard some gardeners complaining about how they, you know, soil should be an essential service right now. They want to lay some soil, and it's like, how do we get some soil? So yeah, there's a lot of conversation happening in all different genres. Hey.
Absolutely, yeah. So
chit-chats and friendly catch-ups and just a good old hey, how are you? Is really good connection.
Any way that you can connect, and just try. And if it doesn't work once, do it again the next week, because it might be, you know, like I would do it if you were going to do a weekly catch-up. Do it every week. You might get one person who comes to that who it means a lot to. And they could be your best customer next year. They could be the person that then brings 10 customers to you.
Isn't that so true as well? Because, and I can actually, sorry, my son's skateboarding outside, right? At least he's outside, I suppose. But isn't that so such a good point? Because I've had customers who have caused me, for all, you know, intents and purposes, I hate to say the word, but caused me the most problems, and, you know, caused me quite a lot of extra work and admin, which nobody likes. And just keeping you cool with those people and just trying to still give them a really good service and being kind to them, because people are usually mean when they're going through something themselves. But those customers have have become some of my most excellent customers. So, you know, you can never sort of rule out anybody, just that one person could be the person who brings you a lot of business. So
yeah. And if you're going to be there, you know, if it's an hour where you're going to sit on Zoom, and if nobody turns up, you're just there, it doesn't actually matter.
it doesn't
You
matter.
probably weren't doing anything else.
No. Or you can type, or you can scroll Facebook and have a wine while you wait.
Exactly. I mean, and that's what I thought when I did my co-working thing. I thought, well, if none of the clients want to come, it's fine. I'll just do some work for 2 hours.
Yeah, it's good.
But it's putting that offer out there, which has actually been really appreciated.
Yeah.
I guess, or also, if you know, what problems are people having? You know, if somebody works in weight loss or something, then that might be a really nice time to come together and have a Zoom chat. Let's just all chat about, you know, the struggles during this time. And what, you know, what challenges people are having.
So really just, you know, not necessarily being able to fix their problem at that time, but getting up alongside them, letting them know that you are there, letting them know that you actually care about their situation right now, just being somebody, even a soundboard for, you know, the time being. And so when we get to the other end of this, they just remember the time that you spent with them. That can be really quite powerful, eh?
Absolutely. And they'll feel closer to you. And it's actually a great feeling for yourself, knowing that you're helping somebody in some way. It's just it's a really uplifting feeling that you have solved someone's problem. You know, it's And I talk to people every day and help them through this pivot, and it's nearly like they can't see the wood for the trees because they're in the situation. You know, they just can't kind of come from a different perspective because there's so much emotional stuff tied up in that.
There really is. So speaking of that, you doing sort of that one-on-one helping people through pivoting, I'm going to attach a link to this Zoom so that people can go and have a look. You've actually got the opportunity for people to have a 90-minute call with you, and you just talk through business, how it is right now and how they can pivot and
just give them marketing the next steps. And then I also have a brainstorming template that is on that link as well, that just goes through, you know, do you want to pivot? What's best for you? Is it to pivot and proceed, or to hunker down, make something better in your business and come out the other side? And sometimes even if you can pivot and proceed, it's better to kind of hold off doing something for the short term and actually use this time to make a massive change in your business. You know, get onto e-commerce, you know, change your email system, get onto an email system if you're not already on one, because you've actually got that time to breathe. Like we always say, oh, well, if I had enough time. Now we've actually got that time, so it's kind of, you know, how are you going to use it? And I know a lot of people have got young children, and that is hard. But you know, I mean, there's a couple of my clients, they get up early, they work for 2 hours, they're with their kids, and then they do 2 hours in the evening. That's actually 4 hours of productive work. Which is a lot.
And I mean, at the end of the day, look, we haven't got any sort of deadlines or anything that we actually have to focus on right now. So even if you're just during the day at different times of the day when the kids are eating their lunch or whatever, and we can do, you know, 20 minutes of anything, it's still better than doing nothing, eh? And I love how you've talked about implementing some systems now, because often we have very little time or headspace because we're doing our actual day-to-day jobs and careers and things, and we don't have a lot of headspace to work through some of those systems. What are some of the things that you would suggest implementing now? So what kind of email systems are you in?
I guess in the first case, I would say, if you put a movie on for the kids, don't check your email and clear your email box. You've got probably, how long's a movie? A couple of hours to do something chunky, productive. You know, you can really get something done. And I work a lot with my clients about how to use their time. You know, if you've got a big block and it's the morning and you've got some energy, do something really, really strategic and chunky. So it could be that you're, you know, looking at a financial system, like going on to Xero or MYOB or something like that. And this is a good time where you can carve out some, so a morning or something to get into that. Or building a website, which some of the websites are amazing now, where it's just a kind of drag and drop and you can put something together.
So there's Wix and Squarespace and
I have been I've been told that WordPress is is really, really good because it will grow with your business. And they're always adding new things that you can add on, but it's not like kind of a few years ago where you basically needed to go and get something customized and coded specifically for you. So it is amazing.
There's templates for everything here.
There is. And they also have great training courses and tutorials to kind of feed you through it. So, or it could be something like adding e-commerce. I've seen one lady who, her mother has a physical shop and high rent, and they're actually using this time to get everything online. She's got a great customer list and they're just putting the whole thing online, getting rid of the shop. And I think, wow, what a great use of time.
That's a pivot.
Anyone who's a hairdresser or a beautician, get Calendly uploaded, because you will not be able to have a break for at least the first month. When we come out of lockdown, we'll all be going to get our roots done and things.
However, I've got mum bun for the whole rest of this month. That's how it is.
But don't just get on Calendly. Actually feed your customers through it. So that might be putting together a video or sending them a link on a tutorial of how it works for them. Because if you're a hairdresser and you've got older clients, that would you think about how that would be for somebody who's older, who's not very good with technology. They might think, I can't use that. Whilst if you take that time to, maybe, get yourself on Calendly, get a tutorial, they've probably got one on it, send that to them, and then ring them up after 5 days. How are you going? Did you have time to look at it? And that's another touch point to connect with that customer. And say, I wouldn't, I know you wouldn't want to miss out as soon as I open up, so I just wanted to make sure you've got the hang of it. And they'll think, gosh, that was kind. You're just solving a problem. They're not going to think,
trying to get my sale.
Help them. Because, so that kind of thing. Also developing an online course. If you do something one-to-one, you could develop it into an online course. It's quite easy to make videos now, and even you have your workbook that your client can download, and then they can watch the videos and work it that way. So that kind of thing where you accept you can't work right now, but you kind of hunker down and change something.
Time.
So it's either upskilling, changing a system, or adding a new function.
I love that so much. And excuse me, I this month am committed to working out how to open YouTube. I've left that's been kind of my too hard box for so long, but I'm like, okay, I want to put my videos, I like things like this is so cool, and the information is so great, and I want a YouTube channel where people can get to it nice and easily, because then you can send a link to their email. You don't have to worry about whether your video is going to be squashed in and whether it's too big or too small. You can send them to your YouTube and it's all there. So that's my commitment to myself for this month. And I think, really good ideas.
And that's what I do, is I knock off one chunky thing a month. Because then it's got my focus for the month. I've got a start and an end. And I that is the way that I get big stuff done. Or else I can just get so mixed up in client things, and and I guess the other thing is doing mindset work. Like I do a little mindset routine every morning to make sure that in that day I work on the top 3 things that are actually important to me, or that I have to do. And then I do like a little motivational meditation, and it just sets me up for the day. Whereas you can just get sucked into the vacuum of the busyness of being busy without actually moving forwards or achieving anything.
Well, I guess it's like the difference between starting your day with some mindset work or starting your day scrolling through Facebook, and then look how your day goes and how different it is in productivity. Hey,
exactly. And I did that the other day, and then an hour and a half passed, and I thought, what am I doing?
Back into the vortex.
And you never see anything that you just think, that was amazing, that was life-changing. It just, it's kind of, most of it's a bit ho-hum, really.
And then you think to yourself, oh, that could have been such a good time to do this or that. Eh?
Or now I've missed my exercise time.
Yes, exactly. Well, maybe we should have you back in at some stage and we'll talk through some mindset stuff. I think probably all of us could take this time to retrain our brains and use mindset for the morning. Well, I could definitely do with that.
Yeah, I just have a little sheet that I go through that my clients have as well. I've got them all doing it as well, and
awesome.
it has made a massive difference.
Oh, that's so good.
Because we've just nearly got too much temptation and too many choices out there that you get dragged. And it's the same with your marketing, actually, where you've always got that kind of, the shiny magpie thing going, get on LinkedIn, do this, do that, do sponsorship, and you can end up kind of doing everything a bit half-hearted.
Nothing really well, but everything just in bits and pieces. And then you end up overwhelmed, hey, when you've got too much going on.
Overwhelmed. You've put so much time into it, and you haven't actually done anything properly, and so you don't get the results, and it's all a bit scattered, and I think more than ever people need to be, to really find their ideal client, and even go from the niche down to the ideal client. For example, I guess a PT is another good example. If you're a personal trainer, you could be, I've seen personal trainers who focus on the over 40 segment. And so, like, if I was going to have a personal trainer, then I'm definitely going to go for somebody like that rather than somebody who's, into
20
bodybuilding or 20. It's because I think, well, they're going to know that's my, that's my personal trainer, because they're going to really understand where I'm at. And that's who you want to be.
So that's kind of like micro niching, really, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, well, we call it the ideal client, or the sweet spot. And it's just, and it sounds counterintuitive, because you think, oh, well, I'll be trying to market to less people, but actually your message is so honed and so clear that you attract more people.
Well, that's exactly how 30 Plus and Fabulous came about. And I was so terrified when I opened that group. I thought, like I was competing against so many people, and I thought I just have to focus on my age group. Well, I was older. I was almost 40 when I opened that group, but I thought the age group that needs my help are somewhere around 35 onwards, where their skin changes and their makeup style changes and all that sort of thing. So I opened the group 30 Plus, and Fabulous just kind of rhymed. But I mean, it went crazy, and that's a really good example.
It's a brilliant group, and people love it, and they get so much from it. And you've really, really nailed, your ideal client there. But and it's kind of, I mean, it's massive, isn't it? How many people have you got on it?
So there's about 31,000 on the group, and now the group is not really the group that I use for what I opened it for anymore. It's done its own thing, really. But now I'm able to sub people off who have a specific interest in specific things. So that's where I do my actual business. So it still works really well, because then you get to funnel who's really interested in this topic and who's really interested in this topic. So and they're the age group that I want to work with, and my ideal client. So that's exactly what you're talking about, just finding your ideal client, and this is a really good time to work on that.
I think so. Yeah.
Well, thank you so very much for your time, and I've loved your points. I might just take some of those points down, and we'll connect it, put it with the video, put it with the Zoom video. And just thank you so much. And I'm going to link your, what's it called? It's
it's just the PDF. It's a brainstorming template.
Okay, so I'll link that as well, so everybody can make use of that as well. Thank you so very, very much for your time. I appreciate you being here so very much.
Okay, thanks. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Thanks, Sarah.